Hey everybody, Todd here. Welcome back to another Wellness Talks, Trends and Tools. So this week I'm going to do like I've been doing in this series, and I'll be jumping into some of the trends that I've been seeing in practice in my life and in the world in general, and then giving you some immediate tools that you can use right in this moment to help to deal with that. As always. One of the common components over the last, well, actually since March, since COVID-19 started happening, but this happens even before COVID, is that an event, something happens which alters your typical automatic responses and just shakes your confidence, makes you feel incompetent. In other words, the underlying theme for the week is, as presented here, my confidence was shaken. What's underneath that? We all have a certain level of entitlement. We all have a certain way that we're framing the world, that we expect the world to be. And then when something like COVID comes along, or a cancer diagnosis, or you get fired from your job, or a paper didn't turn out the way you liked, there's going to be an emotional response. And we equate that to our confidence being shaken, our confidence being questioned. So what can we do? Because if we allow that phrase, that thought, to run our life, then we're going to begin to act in a way that'll just keep giving us more of the same. So one of the first things we're going to do then is just jump in, and to increase our level of awareness, we're going to diffuse from the thought. Easiest way to do that would be to jump in to this present moment. If we're fused to the thought, then we are subject to what we are experiencing, what we're actually looking through. So we need to give ourselves some space to get in touch with the now, to be in the present moment. And the best way to do this is to connect with your body. And that's what this is all about, your left foot. So what I'd like for you to do is just to take a moment, close your eyes if you can, and pay attention to all the thoughts flying through your head. Yeah, Todd, I don't know how this is really going to happen. Yeah, I've heard this before. I don't think this is going to solve any problems. This certainly won't get rid of things. All of these thoughts going on in your head. Just take a moment, get present to the noise happening in your head, and then shift your awareness to your left foot. We want to get present in this moment, right here, right now. We want to connect to the body. So we're acknowledging, we're connecting. Just be curious about your left foot. Notice any sensation, actual physical, tangible sensation. There's pressure on the bottom of my foot. The top of my foot feels cool. The side of my foot feels sore. Just bring all your awareness to your left foot. Notice what happens to all those other thoughts when you are being purposely in the now, paying attention to the physical sensations going on in your left foot. It gives us some distance. And what's interesting is that if you can notice when a thought jumps back in, this doesn't really help my confidence, Todd. Right. Notice that thought. Bring your awareness back. Keep detaching, diffusing, disconnecting from the thought. Objectify the thought, see the thought, connect back to your left foot. And just allow yourself to stay there for a second. And then you can jump to your right foot, and you can jump to your legs. This will be a full body scan. You can move up into the body, but you don't have to do that. And oftentimes we don't have the time, but you can, in any moment, pay attention to your feet in contact with the ground. Nobody even needs to know that this is what you're doing. So, left foot exercise, getting present in the moment, giving us some distance from the thought. I'm failing here. I'm not competent. Or, as it has been the trend this week, my confidence has been shaken. And from there, if we can get that thought out in front of us, we can get grounded in the moment. If we can become aware of our body, we can now begin to engage. So we acknowledge the situation, connect to the body, and now we're going to engage. We're going to give ourselves a little bit more space. There was a bunch of thoughts that were coming up, and we want to check facts. My confidence was shaken. Well, what's underneath my confidence was shaken? What was the actual scenario? What happened? What are the facts? I was at school, I got my paper back, I failed this. It didn't turn out the way I wanted to. I all of a sudden I walk into work and I've been furloughed. I've been let go. What are we making all of these things mean? So we got to figure out where the root of this came from. And it's actually grounded out there in the external world. And then we have our internal processes of that. We need to notice these thoughts. We need to make them tangible. We need to see them out in front of us. Writing them down in a journal, like what's shown here, helps quite a bit. Write it down. Another thought later on. If you notice you keep coming back to this recurring thought, write it down. And then you can take what you've written and you can check it against the actual facts. What happened? So part of this is that there's a certain level of discomfort. So I'd like for you to actually consider that your pain is giving you a prompt. It's asking you to look in a particular place. It has wisdom. The failure hurt because something mattered. The job mattered. The paper moving you in a direction of becoming competent in whatever field that you're working on mattered. How a conversation ended poorly mattered. The confidence gets shaken because you were operating with an automatic set of rules and tools, and it didn't work. But if we can look at these difficult thoughts and the memories, especially during these times when you come up short, and that's the hardest part to do, is to look when you come up short. This does start to give you some clue as to what actually matters, what's important in your life. Is it really a lack of competence or confidence? Or is it just really a disappointment in not moving in the direction that you value, in a direction that matters? Learn what you can. Set aside the "I am not confident, I have failed here" thought, and just allow yourself to engage, to be in the moment, and check in on what was I not getting? What's being cut off from me? What am I perceiving as being cut off from me? Remember, we have the pain of presence, the thing that actually happened that causes a lack of confidence. But we have a deeper pain, and that's the pain of absence. What's the thing that I value? What's the thing that matters, that's being blocked off by this particular avenue? Because if we can really check facts and become concise on what actually happened, it's just one avenue. We may be able to find a different avenue. Or maybe there's nothing else we can do about it in this moment. And there's a certain level of just letting that sit there. And then we can switch over to something that we actually can do that will make our life more meaningful. And then from there, we can move into the final activity, the final concept to think about here. And that is we fully engage, acknowledge, connect, engage. And here's where your values come into play again. If we know what actually matters to us and we can begin to isolate, find 3 to 5 important factors, important values, personal values, these are the things that can actually help us to gauge what should I do now. And here's a great exercise to help you figure out what those values might be. And I'm going to ask you to search back through a memory, an important memory, a good memory, and ask you what's important about that memory. So if we can actually diffuse from that sensation, that lack of confidence, that thought, and put it out here, then we can free ourselves up to begin to move towards something that matters. Now, if you look back over your life and you reflect on the roles you've had in your life, you've been in a similar situation like this before. Bring up that memory as a student, as a child, as a friend, as an employee. You've experienced these things before, and maybe part of it went terrible, and that's part of what we're dealing with. We're trying to avoid that component, but in doing so, we're actually amplifying it or making it worse. So what we want to do is add to it, keep adding new experiences to kind of water down that older one. So bring up that memory. It could be a good memory, which is not related, or it could be a time when you've actually experienced this before. You've been here before. You said something to yourself, or you did something that lined up with where you wanted to be, who you wanted to be, what direction you wanted to move. What is most important to you now? How rigid, which avenue, are you just completely attached to that one avenue, one specific way of moving in a direction? Or can we actually step back, look at what matters, and engage? And that wraps it up. The lack of confidence is the thought, the moving into my body, the pulling the thought out here and simply holding it lightly in my hand, not trying to escape, avoid, or control it, just letting it be, being willing to experience that, knowing that there is wisdom in this thought, that pain, and then moving off in a direction that I've taken a little bit of time to figure out what actually matters here. What's the value? Give this a shot. Play around with this. See if this works for you. Don't take my word on it. It's an experiment. It's something for you to try. But I think you'll find that you've already been doing this and that these words are more true than not. And until the next time, may you be well.